up till this point, so truly sailing into the unknown. Doing it from pole is Stephen Johnson for the 6th time this year. Adam Bressington qualified second 12 months ago, did the same this weekend. Ryan Hansford and Jim Policina next, Tony Karamfilowski strong. The big story is John Bowe back in 8th place. They've been battling some niggling steering issues on that Tirana. Had no confidence in the wet weather yesterday. As a result, starts from the 4th row of the grid.
And the mixed bag outside the top 10 too, including Cam Mason, Jamie and Cameron Telly starting on the 7th row. Now, this is a race for championship points. Normally, this would be the trophy race. That's going to come up tomorrow morning, so there's championship points on the line. Rusty French starting down the bottom of the top 20 there with Wayne Mercer in this race. Big field here today.
Yeah, the trophy race tomorrow morning. That's the wake-up call. It's a part of a service we provide for the 30-odd thousand campers here this weekend. Some names to watch from the back. Paul Freestone's been in great form recently on the podium at Sandown, only 23rd in the wet weather qualifying yesterday, so he's got a job to do. Sven Boykart's in the Porsche, struggled in the rain as well, go from 22nd. And from the very last position, Marcus Zukanovic, the XD Falcon, will start the race. They had a power steering box fail in that car yesterday. They did not qualify. He said, these are really my first dry laps at this place. So he's just planning to take it easy, work his way through the first lap, pass cars where he can without taking any overt risks. The last thing he wants to do is put another scratch on that car after Sandown.
He wasn't alone without the dry track racing. Yes, same, I agree with that. It was heartbreaking to see the brand new XD Falcon that's been months in the making. There it is in the background of the shot, looking from the better Camcat and the famous Armour All Bridge. It's seen some racing in its lifetime, hasn't it?
Wow, it's going to see some more this weekend. So exciting what we've got in store over the course of the weekend. So the 2x2 rolling start, it's a 6-lap race. It's the 19th of the championship, which is currently led by Stephen Johnson. John Bowe is second, Adam Bressington is third. Tirana's on the 2nd row. Jim Policina's been in great touch. Ryan Hansford, his late and great dad Greg, was inducted into the Legends Lane at Mount Panorama earlier today. So he's had a terrific day at the mountain. TCM, Mount Panorama, there's not much better than this. For 6 laps, we're racing.
And 15 rows of history blast their way down into turn number 1. It's held corner, and just pulling the car up in time was Stephen Johnson. He'll take the lead through turn number 1 as everybody settles in. We saw Ben Dunn going through the shot in the background. Jimmy Richards starting the move. He started well outside the top 20, and already they're side by side heading up Mountain Straight.
Settles is a relative term, isn't it, Matt? It's pretty busy through turn 1. Bressington had a really good run out of the first corner and got up behind Stevie J on the run up into Bluntstone Bend. Griffins couldn't get past. Ryan Hansford settles into 3rd. Policina next. Andrew Fisher's away smartly. Freestone back in the field's already made up some ground, so too as Zukanovic. Will map their progress. Around the outside goes Cameron Tilley on Jason Gomersal. So Jason started inside the top 10. Cam blazing his way through the field.
What is it with this place going around the outside today? We saw it in the ECB Super Utes here today as well.
It's already Carrera Cup, one of the more ridiculous moves I've ever seen.
Oh!
No! That was huge. That was Brad Tilley up the inside of, of Ian Woodward, the Chevy Camaro at the entry to Reed Park.
Oh,
that was big contact. He was just looking up the inside. There's no room there. And safety car straight away.
We just saw the start of that before they got to Sulman Park. And now the number 69 Brisbane Builders entry. He's going to reverse away from the scene. When you see that kind of crease, you know it's big damage, front and rear. The 69, he'll drive it away, much to the delight, and he's going to park this because that's not going anywhere in a hurry.
Well, if he can get it to the little runoff area up at the John Hinksman Vista, which is on driver's left, overlooking the city of Bathurst, and indeed the Mount Panorama sign. Well, he's not going to do that. It'll get recovered. Team Medical on scene. It was quite a big impact. I'm amazed that he could even think the car could drive.
I'm amazed it wasn't bigger, the way we saw it start. So the safety car has been called before we got to the top of the mountain here at Bathurst.
Breaks your heart, doesn't it? This car's beautifully engineered and built. And Brad just looking up the inside. Oh, it's never on. Hate to say it, that wasn't a move. I'm not sure if he felt like Ian was going slow, but oh dear.
It's not a natural passing point to begin with, is it?
Yeah, I mean, you could expect to duck up the inside there if the car you're overtaking is in trouble, is going slow. This at full speed. So just caught the end of this shot. We've got to the leaders, have a listen. Wow, huge impact. And that beautiful 69 Camaro, badly damaged. The field restrained under the safety car. Recovery crew is already in attendance, so hopefully this is a brief safety car interruption.
It was his debut appearance here at Mount Panorama. We saw him earlier this year up at Hidden Valley, where he finished 6th in the trophy race, and now heading back.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy, really passionate about his racing. Well, it turns out Brad Tilley's got the onboard camera, so that's Ian Woodward in front. Just had a look up the inside, and I mean, it's not an overtaking opportunity. Never is. Well, Camaros have a checkered past at that point of Mount Panorama, and another one bites the dust up there.
Brad Tilley's done many a lap around there. Was it the case maybe the car in front lifted a little early? I'm sitting on the fence here a little bit.
No, I agree with you, and that's what I said. I thought, you know, the only time you generally see passing there is when one car's going significantly slower and getting out of the way if they're in drama, but at no point, to my eyes at least, did it look like Ian Woodward was doing that.
Well, they retrieved the car pretty quickly, and our track crew on the job up there while they clean up the mess at the top of Salmon Park. Let's head down to the Erebus pit with Greg Murphy.
Well, there's a fair bit of happiness in here at the Erebus garage. Both the 99 and the 9, both making it through to the Armorall Top 10 shootout tomorrow. What a session, Dave. I mean, you had a number of cracks at it. How did it feel just pushing, looking for that little bit more?
Well, it's weird, man, because, like, neither of us have done a dry run all day, all weekend. So that was our very first dry run, and we had to, like, put our balls on the line and go as hard as we could. But he was stressing out really bad because he's like, oh, you know, I've only done DVS here, and I wasn't really sure what to do. I said, don't worry, Ace, you'll surprise yourself. And he did. He killed it.
I think he surprised everybody, mate. Anton, stunning. You and Will Brown haven't got a start at the Bathurst 1000, Super G Bordeaux Bathurst 1000 between you, and you've done no dry laps this weekend so far, and you go out there and stick it in the top 10.
Yeah, I was saying it was probably the most stressful I've ever driven a car. Because
most
mentally stressful. The quickest I've ever done here in a supercar is like a high 8 or something. So I had to find 4 seconds. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I'll have a look. I'll have a look at what Dave did and compare. But you know, just obviously it's a really cool track and a cool car. So it's good to both be in the top 10 and have a go tomorrow, Arvo.
Someone that doesn't know what they're doing, you're going all right, Dave. To be in the shootout again, pretty special. This is what it's all about, eh? I mean, Bathurst, the race is one thing, but the shootout is pretty important part of the process.
Yeah, well, you know about that, don't you? Yeah, the shootout day is probably one of the better days. It's the most enjoyable day. You know, tomorrow we'll only roll a handful of laps, and one of them is probably the most high-pressure laps of the year. So, looking forward to it. Same spot as where we started from last year in the shootout. So, you know, I'm just glad the rain buggered off, giving us a chance to do well.
Absolutely, and Anton, I mean, the work that's going on in this team and how good these cars are, it's pretty special at the moment.
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, it's a big credit to the guys who were here before I got here because the car's good. So I've walked into a team at the right time, and obviously the results are talking like that. So the car's fast. We've got to do a good job, and hopefully we get reward for it come tomorrow, Arvo, and Sunday.
Tomorrow, boys.
It's all that Penrite oil we've been putting in there.
Yeah.
Plug, Chief.
Good plug.
How good were those guys in qualifying just a few moments ago? Anton De Pasquale, a total star in the making. Yeah. Impressive first season in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship.
Good to see Reynolds putting everything on the line for a quality lap, as you'd expect for Davey. Great fun to watch, isn't it?
Hey, the man has no filter.
No.
And we love it. Never change, Davey. As the Vodafone Porsche safety car disappears away, and we go back into the rows of two. Number 69 car heading back into the pits. Hopefully we'll see that car out. It's looking unlikely, though.
It was a very, very big impact. Glad to see Woody was okay. Climbed out of the car under his own steam. They line up NASCAR-style double file restarts at Mount Panorama. So there'll be 4 laps to go. Johnson has to do it all again. The way that TCM manages the series, there's a rev adjustment for every win you get. There is a low ceiling on that, and Johnson's reached it, about 6,800 RPM. So the way this car's working, it's tuned to produce all its power up in the revs, but it can't use them because he's won too much. So trying to bring him back to the field. So as a result, in a straight line, that white line racing VDC Camaro should be pretty handy. Around the outside, Polosina at turn 1. Ryan Hansford still there. That was Karen Folosky bouncing wide. Mark King back at the shop, the yellow Camaro. Decent restart so far. big mover on that opening half a lap was Cameron Tilley, wasn't he? And the valiant pacer said to me before the race, I have no idea what this car's like in racing conditions in terms of straight line. I'm really eager to see what it's like with the V8. We're learning quickly.
We didn't see him in racing trim. We saw him in qualifying at Sandown, but he had to withdraw from that event, and now gets a chance to stretch the legs of the pacer as we climb out of Blundstone Bend and towards the tyre power cutting. It's Johnson, Bresington, Jim Policina runs in third. Back to Ryan Hansford, then Andrew Fisher. They climb the shelf.
Sorry, Matt, and good racing there because Cam Tilley and Jason Gomersall were side by side. The run up to the kink before the cutting, and Jason yielded. So very smart life decision when you do that, going side by side up into there.
What a cool shot.
Big
Seriously.
crowd still watching on too.
Sometimes they get a bit jealous. We should be up there calling this race amongst the crowd because it's one of the greatest spots to watch motorsport anywhere in the world. It's down through the S's. The two Tiranas, Andrew Fisher. Great to see some form and some luck going the Fishman's way here. He's had a tough season. He's had a tough couple of seasons, it's fair to say.
Yeah, I think the light at the end of the tunnel, though, for that team with the performances we've seen from the Jesus Racing Falcon continues to punch towards the front of the field, and they're developing this car. They've got a lot to come. So let's just check this. It's been the biggest story of the year, arguably, outside of that debut of the XD Ford Falcon, is the addition of a V8 Valiant Pacer. So now we see what it's like in a straight line. Well, a year ago, it'd be 25 car lengths behind, and it's staying in touch with the Ford Mustang in front. So that's a good sign. And on the speed gun, that's 281 kilometres an hour before the speed track just before the kick at the chase. Last year, that car was lucky to see 250.
Yeah. He told us he wanted to go fast. He's got it now as Bow down the inside of King at the final turn. So the Tirana on the move. Talking about on the move, Zakanovic is up to 22nd position now in that XD Falcon, so we'll keep an eye on him. It's down to turn number one. Held corner here at Mount Panorama.
Tell you what, Mark King, 294 kilometres an hour that time, down Conrod Straight. Now, there was a bit of an assist because he was close behind Andrew Fisher. That is unbelievably fast. 1970 Chevy Camaro, one of the quickest things down Conrod of the whole weekend.
Still cool, 40-odd years later, isn't it?
And looking to go around the outside of JB up at Blundstone Bend. Doesn't make it stick, but that thing's got some motivation in a straight line. Pawlowski following the vastly experienced Queenslander. Whilst King Springs supplies a good chunk of the supercar paddock. Big export business now as well. Ooh, JB, a little bit of contact with the back of Andrew Fisher through the cutting.
So he's in a hurry. We're in Tirana land right now across the top of the mountain. The Falcon has bigger legs down Conrod Straight. Ryan Hansford in this group. The multi-spares Tirana got the breakthrough win for Peters Motorsport in Townsville this year. Across the top of McPhillamy Park. Johnson, 0.8 of a second clear of Bresington. But they're 6 seconds clear of Jim Policina. Just like that.
Yeah, well, Jim holding up this group at the moment with Ryan Hansford just in behind those two Holden Tiranas. Really strong in the rain in qualifying. I spoke to Ryan moments before they jumped into the cars to go to the form-up grid before this race, and he, like everyone else, was going, we just don't know what to expect over the race because they had zero dry running. Carrera Cup had a bit of dry running at the end of their practice session. The supercars had a semi-dry session earlier today. These guys, both sessions, torrentially wet, and just talking about the guy off on the side. And was he working the steering wheel there?
Right front. The right front was wobbling by the look of it from the front on shot of Hansford. What a shame. And now we've got the window popping out on the passenger side of the 85 of Mark King.
I seem to think that did that at Sandown as well.
It did, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs air conditioning here.
No, it needs some 100-mile-an-hour tape to hold it on. Down the inside goes Bow. This has been a really good recovery drive from his worst qualifying performance in TCM, literally in years, in 8th position, which seems funny, but it wasn't for the 5-time series champion. 2 laps remaining. Johnson clearing out to the tune of a second now over Adam Bresington, who's driving really well. Policina, P3, looking great in the Mocom Communications car. Bow, Fisher, King and Karen Pawlowski next. Cameron Tilley still running in 8th position. And it's Jason Gomersall, birthday boy a week ago. And Brett Yulden rounding out the top 10. So good move for Yulden working his way back into the 10. This is Fisher looking up the inside. That's a little bit hairy. And just lent on that flapping about mirror window of Mark King's car to try and get through Blundstone Bend.
So to the cutting. And all of a sudden, Tony Karafalowski is in the back of this group of cars. Behind them, Tilly, Yilden and Gomersall in the third Tirana. Make it 2 now with Hansford dropping down the order. He's just come into the pits now in the Molten Spares entry. Zakanovic is now just about to sneak inside the top 20.
Left an enormous amount of racing room in this race, have they? No, Matt. It's all pretty willing. First race of the weekend. But everyone's got that sort of pent-up frustration feeling of this race, and it's been such a strange build-up with the practice sessions and all the rain that we've had. So it's like the cork in the champagne bottle just waiting to burst.
Yeah.
I think they've all got into the race and gone, oh, how good's this? Let's have a go.
And hearing that Hansford was jammed in gear coming down the straight. Cameron Vandendunger just updating us from down there. I swear there was something with that right front while it was coming down the straight as well.
Yeah, it looked like he was just giving it a big wobble in a way. Maybe trying to get the car out of gear. And Bow now just up in behind Jim Pollicina. Oh, that's pretty quick in a straight line, isn't it?
He's sharpened up the blade today, JB, and he's slicing his way through the field in the Wilson Security Tirana. It's another position. Now puts himself in the top 3.
Pass. Great drive out of Forrest's elbow. Just drove past Pollicina in a straight line. Actually, quite a noticeable speed difference between the pair of them. Johnson continues to lead, and in fact his margin has become quite significant. Bressington with a very slow lap. In fact, Bressington's in pit lane. Just saw him there driving into the lane from second place. What a disaster. Puts Bow to second, 1 lap to go.
And that now shuts it down for Steve Johnson. It's 12 seconds. Back to John Bow, Pollicina, King, Fisher, Karafalowski. And the story of the race, Adam Bressington, who's come into pit lane.
So Mark King continuing to try and make some moves now on Pollicina, who remains in third. Andrew Fisher's dropped a bunch of spots as well. So there's some walking wounded at the end of this one. Oh, have they had a tyre issue? I think they've had a tyre go down. Left front corner.
Where's he made the contact? It's on the left front guard. Meantime, Johnson.
Well, the only thing I can think of, Nolts, is maybe outside of turn 1 on the restart, he was wheel to wheel with Johnson. That's the only way I could see, because outside of that, we saw no contact whatsoever. The only other thing could be that, unseen by us, is he's clipped the fence, maybe at the dipper or at the elbow.
The black paint on the front there would point towards this part of the circuit.
Yeah.
Meantime, Johnson cruising his way down. He's been unstoppable in season 2018. He's about to win this race by the biggest margin ever here at Bathurst in TCM.
And 13th win potentially of the season, building his championship margin at the front as well.
Bressington back on the circuit just to get some points. He's 26th now, while the man he was chasing is coming down the opposite side of the circuit and into the chase for the final time.
And cruising as well. It's only 230 k's through the speed trap that lap for Johnson, so he knows he's got the big margin back to Bow. King's got Pollicina for third, right at the very end. But win number 13 of the season, the second most wins of any driver in a single year in the history of the category. He's built a massive title defence, and a win goes the way of Stephen Johnson and the Team Johnson Mustang at Mount Panorama.
He's halved the gap. The crowd love it here today on Fast Friday. So it won't be the biggest margin. He's managed to trim it down to 6 seconds in the end.
Just trying to make your stats life
he heard me.
4.6. Mark King on the podium. Terrific job. The 85 King Springs White Line Racing car. Karafalowski 5th. Cameron Tilley 6th in the Valiant Pacer. So that's a really impressive job from outside the top 10. Well outside the top 10 at the start of the race.
Oh, the 21 stopping on the last lap.
He was 15th.
And that's on the run down into the chase. And this is Hodgkin. So was there 2 parts of the story? I doubt anything was going on between those two, but he's cruising down to take the checkered flag. But Stephen Johnson victory number 13, and he says, somebody stop me. In 2018 here at Mount Panorama, 4 seconds the margin to Bao, King, Policina and Tony Karafalowski back there in 5th position.
Tilley will be happy with 6th, Brett Yulton 7th, Brad Tilley in 8th position, Dean Lilly 9th in the GDS Monaro, and Paul Freestone from 24th into the top 10. That's huge.
Mega effort for him getting the top 10 result in this race, and Dean Lilly in there as well. Jason Gomersall just outside the 10 with Jamie Tilley 12th. Marcus Zukanovic up to 14th in that race. Jim Richards got the 15th, so some standout performers who charged their way from near back of the field. Aaron McGill, Rusty French and Alan Bowgen back in 20th position. Great day. The crowd have been wet, they've been dry, they've seen some amazing supercar action, they've seen so much on Fast Friday, but looking forward, Jess, the final 2 days. Can't wait for the top 10 shootout, but just can't wait to be back here at Mount Panorama in the morning.